Welcome on into a live edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Matthew Peterson here, going into the NFL draft a little over 2 weeks away with a boatload of rumors and updates and news to get to. We actually have 4 segments to cover on today's live. There were 3 really good topics, and I thought we would just do that. And then I kind of slapped myself in the face and realized, no, I still want to have a mailbag in case you guys have any questions you want to get on screen. So a lot to get to on today's video, but in the meantime, shout out your city for me in the chat. Let me know where you are watching from. It's always fun to see how far and wide the Dawg Pound stretches, as I like to say. So don't be afraid to just hop in the chat with wherever you're tuning in from. I'm giving shout outs as we have over 60 people tuning in right from the jump, so appreciate everyone's support of the channel. Let's see, we've got Park City, Utah in the house. There we go. There we go. Berlin again. Abe asking Brown should trade down, take Genty, and draft Dart with the 33rd pick. Abe, I don't dislike the idea, but I'd love to talk about it on screen. So throw a hashtag Browns in that message, and that way we can get it on for everyone watching to see. Let's see. Reed, you want to get some shots? I got to find something on my computer real quick. That is evading me, and
we've got Duck Life Official back. What's going on? We got Austin, Jay-Z, Gavin, Christopher, Roy, Ed, Abe, William, John, Jim, John. Oh, Joshua Miller. What is going on, man? A little super chat action.
A super chat from Josh
already?
Yeah,
super chat from Josh.
Okay. I'm ready to roll now. Sorry about that.
Cool.
Josh, what's going on, buddy? Mr. Miller, which actually is a little funny just because I got drinks last night with my good friend from high school's dad, who's also Mr. Miller. Yeah. Shout out your city, though, as Sacramento's here. Common Sense from Lakewood. Bill is in Akron. Josh in his home office as usual. Kathy's in Sacramento. Chris is in Warren, Ohio. Duck Life, North Korea, like always. Very brave of you. If you truly are in North Korea and this is what they get you on, YouTube for a Cleveland Browns channel, I'm honored that you decided to risk your life for me. I would not recommend that, though. Is it more important to get the draft right or the quarterback right for the upcoming season? I fucking love Josh's questions. You know, they are thought-provoking.
It is just great. Every time. Like, this is going to be the first question in the mailbag.
It sure is. It's got to be quarterback. And if you get the quarterback right, everything else can fall in place. If you have everything else right and you don't have the quarterback, you have the Browns the last couple of years where you don't feel like you're reaching your full potential. So, Josh, thank you so much for your super chat and your question. I'll expand on that more in the mailbag. But we do have a lot of coverage to get to on today's show. So, Reed, let's get ourselves in the fast lane here. Coming up, we have Adam Schefter insight, NFL execs on the Browns, Breece Hall. We do have to give a quick shout-out to our friends over at GameTime, though. So, this is what we have coming up. So, kind of sink your teeth into this. And while you do that, I'm just going to give a quick shout-out to our excellent sponsor for today's show, and that is GameTime. GameTime makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So if you want to go to a Guardians game or a Cavs playoff game, one seat, baby, or any other sporting event in your area, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. The lowest price guarantee means that GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference if you can find tickets for the same price or less in a different a different site in the same section and row. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. So, one more question before we really get this plane off the ground. Is Travis Hunter the pick at number 2? Do we feel confident as a group here to lock that in as what the Browns will do when they are inevitably on the clock after Cam Ward's selection is made? I got to say yes, because that's what everything's telling me right now. And this close to the draft, it's a lot easier to believe that when there's smoke, there's fire versus in like February or March. We're 2 weeks away, and Vegas likes to be right. And Vegas likes Travis Hunter a lot to the Browns. But the Browns are an organization that don't really broadcast what they're going to do. They don't like to show their hand all that much. So there's still a little bit of hesitation in my voice, but for now I got to go with yes. So if you have a question or a take you want to get on screen, super chat like Joshua Miller, who just sent in another super chat, and we'll throw it on screen for everyone watching to see. Okay, Josh, let's get your the perfect timing. My dad was my high school teacher for many years. Did you call him Mr. Miller? Better question. How many times did you accidentally slip in a dad, right? Everyone had that moment in kindergarten when they call their teacher mom. Happened with me with Miss Kim. So let me know.
For me, I think it was Mrs. Wygan.
I kind of lied a little bit. I said Miss Kim. I grew up in Japan, went to an international school, and it's not a worldwide tradition to use Mr. or Mrs. for your teachers. So it was a first name basis at that school. So it was just Kim. Yeah, I had Kim, I had Seth, I had Celine. And then when I moved back, I learned I cannot call my 5th grade teacher Jeudy. It was Miss Johnson. So that was a tough lesson day one. All right, let's get into the first segment on today's live show, which is all about Adam Schefter talking about the Browns at number 2 and what he believes is going to happen. So that way you guys are kind of up to speed on the latest regarding the NFL draft. And then NFL execs chimed in anonymously on the Browns offseason, offered up their thoughts on the subject. Plus, we got some Breece Hall trade chatter out there I want to explore. And then that mailbag. So be like Josh. Get your questions in. You can super chat. If you're unable to, that's perfectly fine. Just use #Browns in your message in the chat. Are we ready to rumble? 113 people hanging out with us. Appreciate it. We got 20 likes. Can we get to 30? 10 more people like the stream, and then we'll talk all about Schefter and his thoughts for the Browns at the number 2 spot in the draft. 9 likes away. Let's get to 30 likes, and then we can get going. As Mike is getting a question in, love to see it. Gavin, #Brown. I don't know if you put an exclamation point at the end if it'll work or not.
What do you mean?
Well, Gavin's got #Browns
Gavin.
exclamation point. That'll be a first. No one's ever tried that before. We'll find out.
Let me see.
We're at 32 likes, so there we go.
Is it Gavin?
Mission
it
accomplished.
Works.
Oh, there we go. Good
Yeah.
to know. Reed, are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? You're ready. Here we go. Let's talk about what the Browns are going to do at pick number 2. That is, I wouldn't say the $1 million question, but it's the biggest question right now as the draft kind of starts with Cleveland, since the worst kept secret every single year is who's going to get taken number 1. This year it's Cam Ward going to the Tennessee Titans. Now, our friend Schefter has talked at length about what Cleveland is going to do. You go all the way back to the NFL Combine when he said the Browns at number 2 will wind up taking a quarterback because they have to. And I remember filming a video about this in my motel room burglarization in Indianapolis. And I was like, I don't really see eye to eye on this. I think this is just Schefter giving his opinion as to what he would do versus what is actually going to happen. So that was around the Combine. Fast forward a few weeks, and then Schefter revisits the number 2 pick. And he says this: when you talk to people around the league, the sense is Cleveland would like Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward is going to be the number 1 pick. In which case, I think Cleveland goes either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. So that was a few weeks ago, and we obviously ran with this update from Schefter. Let's talk about this for a moment here, Reed, as to what the Browns are going to do. And signs are starting to point towards Abdul Carter. He became the betting favorite. Shedeur Sanders' stock kind of began plummeting for the Browns with number 2. So all eyes were on Carter, and a lot of people were really starting to sink their teeth into Abdul Carter might be a Cleveland Brown. Guilty as charged. Now, we move forward, and all of a sudden, the smoke around Travis Hunter is starting to turn into a little bit of a fire. Here was Schefter on the Pat McAfee show just a few days ago. The latest intel now is that I believe Travis Hunter is the more likely pick at 2 today, a couple of weeks out of the NFL draft for a couple of different reasons. So let me interject here, and I think a lot of people's reaction is, man, Schefter doesn't know anything, right? Doesn't know his butt from his face. How could he get this so wrong to go from quarterback to kind of Carter and Hunter to now it's Travis Hunter? Well, for one, I think the Browns' minds could have changed. I think they've had an update of information where initially they might have wanted Shedeur Sanders, and then leaving the combine, maybe they didn't want him anymore. So at the time, there's a chance Schefter was not incorrect then, but as the Browns kind of updated their thought process, Schefter updated his. And I think Schefter's very good at his job, so I had no problem kind of leaning towards, hey, if Schefter says this, it has to have a lot of weight behind it. But there is no doubt that the Travis Hunter train is in like full swing right now. Just April 7th, he was minus 135. Keep in mind, a few days before this, Abdul Carter was the favorite to go for the Browns. 2 days later, April 9th, and he's now a bigger favorite to be the first pick for the Browns in the NFL draft. So it feels very confident at this point that Hunter, based on all the smoke from Vegas coming out of his pro day and from Schefter, is going to be the pick for the Browns at number 2. I have just one tiny hiccup, and if Hunter is not the pick at number 2, this will be the thing that we go back to as to why did that not happen? Because the Browns don't really like to tell people what they're going to do. And it does feel a little bit, I wouldn't say fishy, because fishy makes it sound, way too unlikely, but somewhere between unlikely and fishy, that Cleveland would just, we're going to go Travis Hunter. They might very well like him, but I feel that people looked at the Browns visiting Pro Day in Colorado, bringing the whole contingent out there, getting dinner with Travis and Shedeur, and jumping to the conclusion of, oh, that means Cleveland loves Travis Hunter. They may like him, but I do think it's worth just bringing up, is there a chance that they left Boulder and said, man, that was not a good dinner, and they're not talking about the food? We never really entertained that possibility. It's always, well, they met. If they met, then they must love each other. No. Teams meet with a lot of players. They got dinner with Abdul Carter in Pennsylvania. Well, why does it mean that they have to now love Travis Hunter? So that would be my slight pushback, but there is definitely a trend and a full change from Schefter going from Shedeur Sanders to Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter to full-blown senses. It's Travis Hunter for the Browns at number 2. So now I'll invite you guys to be a part of the show for a moment. Is Hunter going to be the pick? Would you put your money where your mouth is here and say, yep, Travis Hunter, you are a Cleveland Brown? Let me know in the comment section whether or not you think that's going to be the case. Now, Schefter did say that he had a few reasons as to why he believes it will be Hunter, and here are those reasons. I think that going into that day, they viewed him as somebody that could play wide receiver and I think sprinkle in at defensive back, talking about his pro day. And I think he brings them some star power. And there are a lot of people who believe he is the single best player in this draft. Talking about just Hunter in general here, he is a unicorn, and that's not a new opinion or take. The guy plays offense and defense, and at a very high level, he won the Best Receiver Award, the Jim Thorpe Award, the Blindikoff Award, and the Best DB Award with Jim Thorpe. So he is one of one when it comes to his ability to be a high-level receiver and a high-level corner. The only question that remains is, can he play both ways at the NFL? And if he can only play one way over the other, is he worth a number 2 pick as just a receiver or as just a corner? I'm really starting to flip a little bit and change my tune because I want to be optimistic for whatever pick the Browns make, and as long as the signs are pointing towards Hunter, over time I'm going to start building up reasons in my head as to why I think that's a good pick. I think everyone does that for their team. And when it comes to Hunter, I could really start to see the Browns finding a way to utilize him on offense, which 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns, and then finding a way, as Schefter put it, to sprinkle him in on defense. Personally, I think it'd be better to do the opposite. Play him at defense and sprinkle him in on offense. But if the Browns feel that he is going to be like an Odell Beckham Jr. type talent and athleticism at wide receiver, him and Jerry Jeudy would be an incredible combination. So for now, I'm kind of thinking and picturing you play him full-time receiver and you put him out on defense for third downs, obvious passing situations. And as the years progress, hopefully he can, take in more of the playbook on both sides of the ball. And I have no doubt athletically he can keep up the stamina. Although, if you're a little bit winded on defense because you just played a whole offensive series, that could cost the team a touchdown in coverage. Before we talk more about this, I do have to give a quick shout out to our friends over at GameTime. GameTime makes getting tickets even faster and easier. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So if you want to go to a Guardians game, you want to go to a Cavs game, or a concert, or anything else in your area, I implore you to check out GameTime first. It's an awesome spot for a last-minute tickets kind of place where if you like to live in the moment and not plan too far ahead, GameTime's going to become your best friend. They have the lowest price guarantee, which means they will credit you 110% of the difference if you can find cheaper tickets elsewhere in the same section and row. So do you a favor right now and take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Getting back to Travis, what about the wide receiver and cornerback debate, right? Where should he play? Well, unfortunately, Andrew Berry does not have the greatest wide receiver senses. So if he thinks he's a receiver, someone commented on a video the other day, he's probably a really good corner then, and that made me chuckle. Right now, the Browns receiver room is in it's in a weird spot. Like, Jerry Jeudy just had a breakout campaign. He finished 5th in receiving yards. Tillman showed you a lot of optimism before suffering a season-ending concussion. But after that, there's a big drop-off. I'm not going to try and sell Mike Woods as, a terrific number 3 receiver for a team. He's shown potential at times, but I think I'd be just drinking the Kool-Aid if I was like, yep, this guy's going to be a 500 to 600-yard receiver for a team and 3 to 4 touchdowns. That seems a bit ambitious. So, receiver, sure, it could definitely use a little bit of a facelift with Travis Hunter. The DB department is in also a weird spot. It's got 3 competent starters when they look competent. Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome. Emerson and Newsome coming off really poor campaigns. Ward continued to battle with concussions. It's a tough room to make an honest and accurate assessment on because the last 2 years have shown us you don't really know what you're going to get out of this trio. 2023, they looked unstoppable. I came into 2024 saying that is the best cornerback room in the National Football League. I left 2024 thinking that's one of the worst cornerback rooms in the National Football League. So there's an argument to be made of, hey, Emerson's entering a contract year. Newsome is entering a contract year. Not the worst idea in the world to start getting Hunter involved in the DB section, and he could take over for Emerson or Newsome. So plenty of pros by Tommy Rees and Jim Schwartz to be made for Hunter to be on their half of the ball. And I expect those two to be going at each other's throats during training camp for Hunter to be with the offense or with the defense. And this is just my opinion. Well, it's obviously my opinion, but it's my prediction that it must be easier to play corner and a little receiver than receiver and a little corner. And the fact that he's a better corner, in my opinion, than receiver is just more evidence for why I believe he should play corner. And then you sprinkle in 10 to 15 plays on offense, right? 3rd and goal from the 5. Get him involved there. 3rd and 12 from your own 20 with 2 minutes to go. Get him involved there. Give him a breather on 1st and 10 when you're going to run the ball so he doesn't have to go out there and do some run blocking since he just played a whole defensive series. And as the year and, his career progresses, he could put more on his plate. But this is just truly uncharted waters. No one has been this serious about playing both ways before. I mean, there's been examples of guys who did it in college a little bit, but never to the extent of Hunter. So I don't think there is a blueprint out there for how to handle this. I think it's a little bit of a trial and error. Learn as we move along. And that could result in now the Browns looking at him as a receiver, and in October, looking at him as a corner. Time will tell. Before we sign off, one quick reminder to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be live for the NFL draft, and so if you don't want to have to watch a whole bunch of commercials on TV, and you want to get the picks as soon as they are announced and not wait for Roger to march his ass to the podium, then make sure you subscribe to the channel for the best free analysis out there. Let's pick a card to wrap up today's episode. Reed, which card are you thinking?
Let's just go straight up. Ace of Spades.
You weren't going to let me fade you this time.
Nope.
Damn it. I wanted the spite pick. I'm going to go.
How about you go Ace of Spades?
Should we do it together?
Come on.
All right.
Ace of Spades is the only one I think we can go
together. This is
together.
like a video you watch on Facebook where the whole bachelor party puts it all on like black or something.
Yes.
And there's a million different types of those videos, and every single time I watch the whole thing.
Come on.
All right.
Come on, Ace of Spades.
I'm with you. Ace of Spades. Here we go.
This could be first time ever.
Jack of clubs.
No!
What was the next one? All right. Thank you all so much for watching and hanging out with us today. Like I said, click that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I'll see you next time. Damn. That would have been electric. I don't think anyone got it. I look in the chat, and the first thing I see is Miami Mac talking about Jalen Milroe. So right now, that's the quarterback that's catching all Browns fans' eyes at the moment. Okay, Soul Train. Josh Dobbs was a much better passer in college than Jalen Milroe. Milroe's got a very strong arm. He's got good athleticism, but the decision-making and the accuracy are very concerning for me. Iron Eagle. Travis Hunter, no matter what. Carter, too much of an injury risk, and Sanders, in my opinion, is not a number 2 pick. The 2 comps that I've seen thrown out there for Shedeur the most is Teddy Bridgewater and Geno Smith. Those are fine options. I don't think you'd be upset if that was your starting quarterback. Would you be upset if that was your starting quarterback for the number 2 pick? Yes. Teddy was picked number 32. The Vikings traded back to get him at the end of round 1. And Geno was picked 38? 30-something. So, Iron, I echo a lot of what you're saying here. I'm not as concerned as you are about the Abdul Carter injury situation. Remember, Miles missed the first month of the season his rookie year, and I think he turned out all right. So, sure, it's definitely something to look into because you don't want like a Caleb Fairley example of a guy who had back injury in college and just never took off in the NFL. But that's not an apples-to-apples case here with Abdul, so it's not as big of a concern for me as it is for you, but I still, resonate with the kind of theme of your message here.
Who was the tackle last year from Illinois?
Offensive tackle from Illinois?
No.
Who went to the defense tackle from Illinois?
He had a foot injury.
Oh, you're thinking of Johnny Newton.
Yes, Johnny Newton.
Yeah.
How did he do?
Well,
I didn't follow him.
He was like a healthy scratch for the first portion of the year. And then he played the second half, and he turned it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very much like he fell down draft boards.
He was like a mid-round 2 guy. So, sure, maybe a little bit of a fall. But
he was supposed to be first round. And then the foot injury scared a lot of people.
He started 11 games last year and had 2 sacks and 6 tackles for loss.
It's pretty good.
So, for a rookie, I'd say so. Let me see what PFF graded him out at.
Because I remember everybody was like, "Uh-oh, he's got a foot injury." And then he fell. He was supposed to be a top.
They graded him out not too nicely, 82 out of 118. But it's a rookie. A lot of rookies have bad initial PFF grades. All right, we have more to get to, so let's move on to our next segment. Iron, thank you so much for your super chat, by the way. My dad was Mr. Miller till school was over. I like it. Love it. Love it. Which subject? Which subject? Okay. Next up, I want to talk about what NFL execs had to say regarding the Browns. I came across a very insightful article from The Athletic, and we'll share that with you guys. Are we ready? Here we go. On today's episode, I want to unpack a really good article from The Athletic about some anonymous NFL executives and their thoughts on the Browns offseason, because they covered a wide range of topics, and I did not expect this to be topic number one. Here's what one NFL exec said. It's such a weak quarterback draft and free agency class at the position. Is there a temptation to suck for Arch? If I'm Cleveland and I don't love Shedeur pick number 2, I have a 2-time coach of the year, a GM, got his second contract. So could that regime possibly survive a worse team in the league season to get Arch Manning next year? A lot of thoughts here. Let's start with the last point that this anonymous exec points out. Could they suck again and still have their jobs? Because if, let's say the plan is to tank for Arch. I love tank for Tua, suck for Luck. We got to think of one for Arch Manning. But if that is the plan, the big, what is it? Ask for Arch. Not a bad one. We'll workshop it, like the alliteration. But if the plan is to do that, then you got to have a lot of faith you're going to have a job when the draft rolls around next year. I believe that, I wouldn't say that Stefanski and Barry are fireproof, but they are in a good spot where I believe ownership has taken on a lot of the responsibility for the Deshaun Watson trade, and they're not going to punish Barry and Stefanski for the losses because of that trade. So even if they go 0-17, then they're probably getting fired. They go 3 or 4 or 5 wins next year, I would bet that they come back. So that's that first part right there. Now, the overarching theme of just get Arch Manning in 2026, it's very tough to think that far ahead. Initially, the Mannings were like, yeah, Arch is going to go to college for 4 years. He's been there for, what? This is now going to be year 3 for him. He was a backup for 2. So his first true season as a starter for Texas would not be a part of the initial playbook for him to enter the draft after 3 years. The plan was for him to start 2 years at Texas, if I remember correctly. And this would be year 1 of him starting. So not a guarantee that he even comes out next year to begin with. Now, things change. If he's awesome and everyone projects him to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft, and a team like the Saints or the Giants or the Colts are picking number 1, I could see him changing his mind to go play for his hometown team where his Uncle Eli played or his Uncle Peyton played. The Browns, I'm not so sure if he'd look at that and go, yeah, I can't wait to enter the draft and go play for Cleveland when, let's be honest, when you've got 45 quarterbacks since 1999, it's not the most inspiring sales pitch to a young prospect. But being the number 1 overall pick might be something too tempting to pass on no matter who is on the clock. So, before we get more into the Arch Manning discussion, help us out here. I want to reach 43,500 subscribers before I get back for my bachelor party this weekend in New Orleans. So if I see Arch, I'll just kind of, do a little bit spot check for ask for Arch. What was the other idea that you had? Ask for Arch? Okay. We'll just do a little feeler. See, only if he wants it. But make sure to subscribe. That way you can get the best free Browns content available. Moving on, another NFL exec on a different subject had this to say for the Browns offseason. Are they drafting or tanking? If you are tanking, then you would be down to 1 year left on Deshaun. I'm sure they are like, hey, Joe Flacco got us to the playoffs, and we can do whatever. To be honest, I don't really understand what the last part of that sentence means. We can do, maybe it was one of those things where in person it made more sense than reading it out loud, but we can take this opportunity to talk about Flacco because he's still a free agent, and it's a very popular quarterback with the fan base. Maybe the Browns feel that Flacco could make a return to help mentor a young quarterback. My only hurdle with this the whole time, well, 2 hurdles have been. One, it would require Andrew Berry to kind of hand up, I made a mistake. I went with Jameis over Flacco, and we're bringing Flacco back instead of Jameis. And it's hard to sell that to a fan base as to it had nothing to do with Deshaun's ego. It seems like it does. And now that Watson is kind of out of the picture, you don't mind bruising his ego by bringing a quarterback in that would be more popular with the fan base than Deshaun. Last year in Indy, he started 6 games for Anthony Richardson. It was not the same Flacco from 2023, and that's partially why I am not gung-ho about signing Joe. I feel that we should just kind of a combination of let the Joe Flacco 2023 season sit as is, a great memory, an awesome run to the playoffs, and not try and push our luck a little bit as he's gotten 2 years older, slight kind of regression from 2023 to 2024 in some ways, and just not the same quarterback that I think people are expecting to run out of the tunnel. So I'm not, overboard in love with the idea of signing Flacco. They do it. I'm not going to be upset about it because right now it's only Kenny Pickett there, and that's frightening. But there will be additions made, no worries. So I'm kind of in the middle about it, but I lean towards no on Flacco. However, if I say no, then I have to have a better option, or at least another option. There's not a lot of great ones out there, so Flacco might be your best option. Before we look at the other quotes from this Athletic article, I do have to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, GameTime. GameTime makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to kickoff, or in this case, first pitch. So, if you would like to get some killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. It's an awesome spot to check out if you want to get Guardians tickets or Cavs tickets or any other sporting event in your area. They also have zone deals. Save even more when you choose a section and let GameTime choose the seats. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Switching gears to another veteran quarterback that was discussed, Kirk Cousins. It's gotten a little cold on the Kirk Cousins front, but I'm not forgetting he just randomly appeared in Cleveland, Ohio in late March, and no one ever gave a real concrete answer as to why. I still think he was there visiting the Browns team doctor, which would not be tampering officially, and that way the Browns can get an update on his shoulder, elbow, and Achilles, and if those things all check out, then the Browns would feel more comfortable pursuing a trade with the Falcons. But here's what an exec had to say. Stefanski knows him, but I cannot see them going with another guy who is older and injured. Not that Deshaun is old, but he never got going. My thoughts on Cousins are circle back to him after the draft. I don't think the Browns are going to be aggressive enough to want to make sure they secure him pre-draft. They probably want to see if they can get some of the quarterbacks they are looking for in the draft. And if they don't, then Kirk Cousins could enter the mix. Even if they do, at that point, maybe they start to get a little bit more leverage over Atlanta as they call them out on their bluff to keep Kirk Cousins on the roster for the 2025 season. Also, post-June 1, it's a lot more manageable financially for the Falcons to trade Kirk Cousins. Now, we all know at this point that Kirk Cousins did not have a good, graceful 2024 season ending. He was just awful. And I'm not going to try and spin it any other way. I will try and spin it to the point that he was playing through a shoulder and elbow injury, and I think that's a fair thing to look at here when wondering how do you go from that strong start to that horrible ending. And with fair reason to believe, if he's healthy in 2025, we'll probably see that 2024 weeks 1 through 9 quarterback more than weeks 10 to 15. So for the right price, I think Kirk Cousins could be your absolute best option. And he does have a little bit of overlap with Stefanski, and I think Stefanski could be really attracted to a quarterback like Cousins who can run his system well as they kind of shift back from the Ken Dorsey offense to the Kevin Stefanski to tight ends, play action set type offense, which is something Cousins has a lot of familiarity with. So that's kind of a roundup of what some of the NFL execs league-wide think. One quick thing before we get on out of here. I do want to give a big special shout out to Dean Coleman, sent in a super thanks. Dean, you're a real one. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Really appreciate your generosity and the love you show us here. Now, let us end with this question. It's like a Bernie Sanders moment. Would you trade for Kirk Cousins? I am once again asking, this is from Reed, once again asking, would you trade for Kirk? I know we've kind of gone the length that this question can go, but
Producer
it still
Reed,
needs, yeah.
hopping in, the amount of times I've had to build this graphic just makes me laugh.
I know. I'm tired of it too. Don't get me wrong. I would like a resolution. So I'm open to it, but not to the stage or not to the point of at any cost. No, I've got a ceiling. And for me, it's probably like a 5th round draft pick. Here we go. Which card, Reed?
Let me go with King of Hearts. You want to fade me again?
No. I'll go Queen of Hearts.
Kind of the same.
Yeah. We're getting the royal couple. 10 of Hearts. 10 of Hearts. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. I know started to run at the end. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
165 people watching at the moment. Only 69 likes, so maybe no one else liked the video.
Nobody touch it.
I don't think anyone got the card correctly. Some yeses and some nos. I think a year from now, everyone will just come to an agreement of, yeah, looking back, there really was just no good option at quarterback. And that's what I've been saying since January.
I think about it a lot where I'm like, oh, but if they don't get Kirk Cousins, who's going to be the quarterback? And I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah. I was going to make a video this week, and
maybe Kenny
some
Pickett
news kind of came in, which pushed this off. Is there a real chance Kenny Pickett starts week 1? I think the only way that happens is if they make no other veteran quarterback additions. If it's Kenny Pickett, 2 rookies, and Deshaun Watson.
Are they going to say Kenny Pickett is their veteran?
Yeah, I mean, he qualifies as a veteran.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I view him as like a backup veteran, which everyone does. But if they only add rookies, Pickett would be the odds-on favorite, I think, to start week 1. I mean, Baker did not even start week 1. Next up, we're going to do another segment. But if you want to be on our mailbag, which will be about 20 minutes from now, use hashtag Browns in the chat or Super Chat. Super Chat, we guarantee your question, your take, your idea gets on screen for everyone watching to see. So if you like the free content we provide and you want to support the channel, Super Chat and we'll throw it on. Okay. Are we ready to rumble? Sorry for the sniffling. All of a sudden, nose started running. Yeah. Here we go. Before we start today's episode, I want to catch up and pass Steelers talk in likes for the month of April. So do me a big favor today, and anytime you tune in to the Cleveland Browns Report, click that thumbs up button down below. Yep. Let's talk about Breece Hall potentially being traded to the Browns, because at the NFL owners meeting, new Jets head coach, what's his face from Detroit, Aaron Glenn, thank you, talked about the possibility of the Jets reconfiguring their running back room. And I don't think Breece Hall likes this reconfiguration. Here's what Aaron Glenn said. I think mentally Hall is in a good place. But I would say that we have 3 running backs on this team that we're going to utilize as much as possible. That right there is going to fuel a lot of trade talk from several different parties. First, from Breece Hall. Here's a young back going into a contract year. And you want to know what he just heard? Less carries. Less touches, less opportunities for yards, for touchdowns. And that means when he hits free agency next year, his resume will not look as good as a back who got 250 to 300 carries. So I don't think this bodes well for Breece Hall. And I think he could look at that and say, I want out. If you guys are not going to give me more than 200 carries like the last 2 seasons when healthy, I don't want to be here. I want to go somewhere that wants to utilize me to the fullest, not put me in a 3-headed monster backfield. So from Breece Hall's standpoint, I could see him pushing for a trade. From the rest of the league standpoint, I mean, they just look at that right there and go, you really want to go 3 backs? You don't sound super jazzed up about that. I think we could take that off your hands a little bit. And then from the Jets standpoint, you look at what Breece Hall has done through 3 seasons so far for a moment, and he's yet to eclipse 1,000 yards rushing. So I could easily see, for the right offer, the Jets going, well, we can live without Breece Hall because we didn't even plan on making him the focal point of our ground game. We were just going to do a 3-headed monster approach. We can find a different running back for way less somewhere else in the draft and reset the clock a little bit and get a good draft pick for him. So I believe that those comments from Aaron Glenn are going to raise a lot of eyebrows across the league and across Breece Hall, and that could bring on some trade conversations. And this is where the Browns would enter the conversation because they need a running back in my eyes. They have been very quiet on the running back front, almost too quiet, right? Maybe they are waiting for Nick Chubb to come back after the draft and they want to get through the draft first, but I'm looking at the Browns draft picks right now, and all signs are pointing towards Travis Hunter at number 2. A lot of smoke around pick 33 being utilized for a quarterback in some way, shape, or form. And then they got to wait till pick 67 to get a running back at the soonest. And when you look at Dane Brugler's top running backs, at pick 67, Genty, Hampton, Johnson, Henderson, those 4 guys are all going to be gone. Judkins, Sampson, they could be there. But if the Browns don't love either one of those running backs, and they don't want to reach on a running back there because they'd like someone else more at a different position, and they'd rather have that best player available mentality for round 3 than forcing something at running back, and then they look in their own backyard and see Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong Jr., the only 2 backs on the roster right now, a trade could start to make a lot of sense for a team like Cleveland that has a lot of draft capital, because rolling it back with Jerome Ford as your RB1, I think is a bad idea. I do not think that Jerome Ford is cut out to be the Cleveland Browns starting running back for 17 games. I think they should make an upgrade, and they should make an investment into a running back this offseason. And it's not coming in free agency, and that's okay. It's a bad free agency class at running back, which means the draft would make the most sense here. And if you're not drafting one early on, you might decide to trade for one. And that's what I want to look at here, because we know Andrew Berry is a trade addict. Like, he goes to AA, and everyone talks about how they've been sober for 60 days, and Andrew Berry's like, I haven't made a trade for 3 weeks, and I've got the itches right now, so we're going to look at what a trade could look like in just a moment. But first, shout out to our sponsor today, GameTime. If you want to go to a Cavs game, a playoff game soon, or a Guardians game, GameTime makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. GameTime is an awesome place to visit if you want to go watch a baseball game, because those are things that can become a little bit spur of the moment, and it's fun to hop on GameTime, see what the prices are for the Guardians game that afternoon or that evening, pull the trigger, and I think you're going to have an awesome time at the game as long as it's not too cold. So, make sure you check out GameTime today. They have so many great deals going on right now, including GameTime ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So here's my trade idea for Breece Hall in terms of compensation for what it would cost. I think it'd be a day 3 pick swap. Elijah Moore was a day 2 pick swap, but he was not going into the final year of a contract and a recent ACL injury as a running back. So I'm thinking the Browns give up their 4th round draft pick, and the Jets basically get to move up, 76 spots in the draft in exchange for Breece Hall. Might not be the worst thing in the world. You got a new coaching regime, new GM in New York. They may not have the same attachment to Hall that the previous regime did when they picked him. They look at a running back who's yet to get 1,000 yards, torn ACL as a rookie, and a team wants to give him an early pick in day 3 of the draft in a loaded RB draft class. If there's a running back that they like a lot, well, this could offer up some flexibility to reset the clock, go younger, go cheaper, go healthier, and still have, other picks to make other needs fulfilled. And for the Browns, I could think it makes a lot of sense. If you don't plan on going running back at 2 or at pick 33, if 67 gets there and you're like, all right, Quinshon Judkins, and he goes at 66, all right, damn it. Next time in round 3, we're getting Dylan Sampson. And if he goes 1 pick before you, now you go into day 3 of the draft, and the top 5, 6, 7 running backs are gone. And there's Breece Hall, who offers a very high ceiling. He just needs to get behind a better offensive line and get as far away from Nathaniel Hackett as possible in that horrible offense they had in New York. And Andrew Berry strikes me as someone who could look at the half-glass full side of an awesome running back from college who got off to a nice start in the NFL up until he tore his ACL. So would you do this trade? Not that big of an investment. It'd be a 1-year kind of tryout. If it doesn't work out, you're not going to bring it back, and you kind of lost yourself a 5th-round pick when you kind of balance a 4th and a 6th. You gave up a 5th for Kenny Pickett. Ask yourself, would you rather give up a 5th for Kenny Pickett or a 5th for Breece Hall? That's more or less what you're doing right here. And I'd rather have the Breece Hall option here. So I'm not really looking at that right there. So I think that Breece Hall could make a lot of sense here for the Browns as a potential trade target if they start to strike out on running backs a little bit. Now, not the wrench in this situation, but the last piece of the puzzle is what's going to happen with don't go there. What's going to happen with Nick Chubb? Because if the Browns plan on bringing him back, does trading for Breece Hall make a ton of sense to begin with? I don't think that Nick Chubb should get in the way of whatever you want to do at running back. If you want to re-sign him, it's going to be for a very cheap contract. Not going to be a huge dent on the cap hit. And it's going to be more of a locker room presence than on-field production presence. So if Breece Hall is catching your eye and you still want to bring back Chubb, my answer is do both. Roll with Chubb, Hall, Ford, and a rookie. Let Ford and a rookie battle it out for that last roster spot. But Chubb comes off. Let's say I got a cough. A tough 2024 season. Played half the year, and fortunately for the first time in his career, he averaged less than 5 yards a carry. And we know what happened early in 2023. We don't need to relive that. And it sucks, but it is the reality here of, I don't think Nick Chubb is going to get back to that 2022 form. 2 years removed from the injury, probably a little bit better, but also 2 years older, and we know running backs don't age super well. So that kind of sums up what's going on the running back front and the Breece Hall trade rumor speculation coming out of the NFL owners meeting. Are we ready to pick a card? We got one more thing. All right, let's pick a card. Which card do you want to go with, Mr. Bartkus?
Can I go with 8 of clubs?
Yep.
Is that on the table?
That's on the table.
Okay, cool.
You know what? I'm just going to go one step below you. 7 of clubs. Suck my dick. 7 of clubs. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh!
Bingo.
That's
Yes.
some good mojo going into New Orleans.
There we go. Shooter. Let's go. Man, that feels good. This is as close as I'll ever come to knowing what it feels like to be a powerful athlete. This is my bat flip. Let's go. It's depressing that is my height and my peak, but this really is it. It's this and rec league basketball at the JCC with Chat Sports. Here we go. All right. See you guys later. Winner right here. Who else is a winner? Let me know. I don't like being cocky, but I get 7 of clubs. I'm taking my victory lap. It is not the first time that is blasphemy. I've gotten it before. I think it might be the first time this offseason. Yeah. Did I get it once before this offseason?
I got it. I've gotten it this offseason.
Yeah, I think but
I
first
got
time I
like
ever
Ace
got it
of
was
Hearts
King
or
of.
something.
First time I ever got it was King of Diamonds. I'll never forget your
Nice.
first. Yeah.
Do you remember? I think mine was Jack of Clubs.
The next one was King Clubs.
Ooh, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's some good mojo going into your bachelor party.
That feels good. It's a good tone setter right there. Mailbag. What questions do you guys have? It could be like, Petey, how are you so good at the card game? And I'd be happy to tell you my strategy. Because right now, I'm champion of the world.
Do you know the game?
I hate the game. We did this in Boy Scouts.
And lost the game. But
Yeah, I know I lost the game.
So
I
don't know if anyone in the chat knows what the game is.
It's the stupidest thing
But
ever.
my brother and sister, who are both older than me, gave me or introduced me to the game, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Alan Pack is in the chat. What's going on, Alan?
the other, I was in Atlanta for my brother's bachelor party last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and we were talking about steak. And my brother loves, his steak to be rare. I go, we were at dinner, and I go, yeah, he loves when it moves on the plate. And my brother points at me and goes, "You just won the game," because the only way to win the game is to say moo without thinking of the game.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that's how you win. That's how you win the game. You win for 24 hours, and then you go back to.
You just brought me back to Boy Scout camp in like 2010.
Yep.
So I was happy to leave that memory there too. By the way, so thank you for.
It's back.
Bringing that back.
The game is back.
Mailbag. So get your questions in. Alan got a question. Alan's question just radiates intelligence and an overall good head on his shoulders. So be like Alan and get a question in right now. Soul Train, let's hit the super chats in the mailbag, but I appreciate yours, and we'll kind of revisit it on the on the mailbag as well. Yeah. Common Sense thinks Queen of Diamonds is next. I like the confidence. Got to go in there with good, gut feeling on the whole thing. All right. Ninja Cow, how are you doing? Are we ready to jump into the mailbag, Mr. Barkus? All right, here we go. Welcome on into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here answering questions from our mailbag, which aired on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So tune in next Wednesday if you have a question. Quick reminder, click the share button down below. Help our channel grow by sending it to more Browns fans and family members of yours. Our first question coming in from Joshua Miller. Is it more important to get the draft right or the QB right for the upcoming season? I mean, quarterback, right? Let's just go with two different scenarios. Option A, you take Travis Hunter at pick number 2, and you pick Jackson Dart at pick 33. And Dart is not good at all. He's a bust. And Travis Hunter is awesome. That's option A. Option B, you go with Shedeur Sanders at pick number 2. And you go with, Derek Harmon, defensive tackle at pick 33. If Shedeur Sanders goes out there and leads the Browns to a winning season, no one's going to remember Derek Harmon's name by the time the Browns punch their ticket to the playoffs. So definitely the quarterback route. Josh, thank you so much for your question. Next one coming in from Iron Eagle. Travis Hunter, no matter what. Vontae Mack, can't wait to rewatch that movie. Carter, too much of an injury risk, and Sanders, in my opinion, is not a number 2 pick. So I definitely warmed up to Travis Hunter a lot, and that's partially just my brain going, hey, if it's happening, get on board with it. Don't try and resist it. And he's an awesome football player, so it's not that difficult to get on board with it. But I still have some reservations about his role in the NFL between receiver and corner. As for Carter, the injury factor is not that big of a concern for me. Yes, you got to do your homework on these guys, and there are examples of players who are injured in college and they get to the pros and the injuries don't go away and it was predictable, but that's not the case with Carter here, so it's not like he's had this long history of it. I'm okay with that. As for Shedeur Sanders not being the number 2 pick, there's always going to be a tax on a quarterback. Like, most times you are not taking the quarterback at the best player available. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's number 1, if you take a quarterback at, number 10 or number 15, there's a very good chance that there are players out there at different positions who are viewed as better, but Quarterback's more important. But still, I don't think Shador is close enough to warrant the number 2 pick for where he ranks in this draft. Roy from good old Germany. By taking Carter at number 2, would we have the best defense in the NFL? When you go through kind of the firepower you have, Myles Garrett, Abdul Carter, healthy JOK, put a pin in that one, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, like Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson. If all those guys are firing in all cylinders, then the answer is yes. I don't think Abdul Carter, just by himself as a rookie, with the way the Browns defense played last year, makes him the best defense in football. The Browns defense last year was average at best at times. And Carter, as a rookie, while I do think he's going to have a very good NFL career, I don't think he's going to have like the biggest impactful season we've seen from a rookie, where he gets 12 sacks to cover up all the miscues from the secondary. So I still think he can have a strong rookie year, but it'll be more dependent on the other guys stepping up and not stepping back like they did last season. Jeffrey, let's start putting up more offensive players in the draft and let Jim Schwartz take care of the defense with free agency. Keep up the good work, Pete. Jeffrey, thank you so much. I think you should be thinking about this like 180, where if you want Jim Schwartz to kind of just take care of the defense, well, then use some, later day 3 picks on defensive players, like the Rams have done the last few years with very few early picks. And if you got a great coach, he should be able to take a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick and turn him into a really strong player. So you can definitely always find a couple of cheap veterans on a 1 to 2 year deal and plug and play guys. But as for planting roots, if Schwartz, which I believe is a very good DC, using some draft picks later on defense and not using the premium ones to save for offense should help the defense with Schwartz, developing those guys get better and better. But Jeffrey, thank you so much for your question. Dolphin X, nah, don't stray from the Carter. We ride with Carter till the end. Carter at 2 no matter what. I mean, Carter is my preferred pick for the Browns, but once so much smoke comes out of a different player, is anyone else in the same framework of I start to talk myself into the other player now because it's going to happen and I want to be excited about it? That's at least the way I operate when it comes to the draft, unless it's someone that I, from day one, have been against. And I've never been that much against Travis Hunter. I've just questioned his ability to play both ways in the NFL and which way he would play for the Browns. But Carter, I think, would be an awesome pick. And I think you'd put together the greatest defensive end duo in NFL history, potentially, which sounds a bit dramatic, but Myles Garrett by himself is almost the greatest defensive end duo with anyone opposite of him. It's like, do you know which father-son duo has the most points in NBA history? LeBron James and Bronny James. LeBron doing 99.999% of the work, and Bronny doing the last little bit right there. But that's because of how good LeBron is. Same goes for Myles and insert anyone. But when that anyone is Abdul Carter, 12-sack campaign, first year as a defensive end. He's got incredible speed. I don't know how offenses prepare for that. Andrew, I also want to ask this. What do you guys think of our defense, and what do we need to have at wide receiver and quarterbacks to be able to make a playoff run? All right, so a couple questions here. Let's just kind of break it down bit by bit. Browns defense in general in the NFL is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I guess polarized, not quite polarizing, but fluid from year to year, right? I mean, timely subject. It's like the stock market. It's volatile. That's what I'm looking for. It goes up, it goes down. Offenses tend to stay consistent. So banking on your defense to stay good year after year is a tough ask compared to the offense. So with the way the Browns defense played in 23, I think they took their licks last year, and I expect them to be better in 2024. And I think a reason why is the offense should hopefully be better when it comes to not turning the ball over, putting the defense in bad positions. 23 defense, they were just all superheroes and could overcome any mistake and turnover from the offense. 24, I think they ran out of gas when it came to bailing out the offense. So part of that has to go in the offense to not shoot the team in the foot. As for wide receiver and quarterbacks to make a playoff run, I'm not going to say wide receiver is a huge, part of a team's ability to make a playoff run. Get good receivers. And right now the Browns have a very, flexible receiver in Jerry Jeudy who can line up inside, play outside. He can get yards after the catch. He can turn up field. He can run go routes. Like, Jeudy is showing you what you saw at Alabama when he was the best receiver in football. And then finally, quarterback. I mean, how much time do you got? I know I've already gave a long response to this question, but quarterback, it just comes down to initially stop taking sacks and stop committing turnovers. The Browns have been last or second to last in those two stats the past two seasons. Before we move on to the other questions on today's mailbag, a quick shout out to our friends at GameTime. GameTime makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So if you want to go to a Guardians game and you don't want to break the bank in the process, GameTime's a great place to visit before first pitch and see if the price is in your price range. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Kathy, what is the deal with the Cincinnati Bengals leaving Ohio? This, and I'm not going to say I have a master's in this question, but I've got a good understanding. Really stems from the Bengals stadium definitely looking for an upgrade and the ownership wanting that money from the state. And right now the Browns are kind of beating them to the punch, and there's fear that the state may not have money for a new or upgraded Paycor stadium. And Mike Florio, and this is probably where it came on your radar, Kathy, suggested, well, why don't the Bengals just share a stadium with the Chicago Bears? You know, Chicago, Ohio, since both those teams are looking for new stadiums. It's the worst idea, and Florio's had some reaches, and this one is the granddaddy of them all. It has no legs to it whatsoever. It's never going to happen. And I know that every so often I say, oh, never say never, the NFL. No, this really is it's never going to happen. They're not going to play their home games in Chicago. It just is not ever going to happen. Kathy, thank you for your question. Appreciate it. Dolphin X, what's going on? $50 super chat from Dolphin X during our live mailbag. Honestly, I'm overtaking Sanders over Hunter. I just can't see him being effective at both positions. At best, he's good. He's great at one position. I'd rather have a great defensive end next to my elite defensive end than a good/great receiver or corner next to my great corner or wide receiver. Dolphin, you raised fine and good points here. And that is where people like you and me are going to struggle with crossing over to the other side, which is if he only plays one way, is he worth the number 2 pick? If he only plays wide receiver in the NFL, I tend to say no. Because I don't think he's better than Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze, 3 guys who went top 10 last year. But if the Browns look at him and internally they say, hey, this is what we want to do with Travis. We want to play him at receiver, we want to play him at corner, and we want to play him on special teams, and he does great at all 3 of those things, then the pick will make sense then. But until that day happens, I'm going to have my concerns. Dolphin, thank you for your super chat. Really appreciate it. Loverboy Charlie, people forget Travis Hunter was able to play offense, defense, and still manage to be a straight A student. Yeah, I don't really care about the grades, but it's a good thing for him. Don't get me wrong, but it's not something that really. I mean, obviously, it's always a little bit of a ear perking thing when they're like, oh, went to Harvard, like, oh, smart guy, right? Honor roll kind of person. But
it does. Producer Reed chipping in. It takes a smart mind to learn 2 playbooks.
It does, yeah, it does. So, Loverboy raised a good point, and I should probably, let that sink in a little bit more than I am right now. But I'll also add this, and I don't want this is going to sound like an asshole. I was in college not long ago. I had a lot of class with athletes. I don't want to say they didn't get straight A's, but I've seen athletes get credit for things they didn't do. So I'm not going to look at that. And I'm not saying this didn't happen with Travis, but like I think that's also kind of an important thing to remember that football players go to college to play football. I'm tired of the charade of the NCAA publishing and putting out this propaganda of student first. 99% of our athletes will never play pros. Yeah, well, you know what? Travis is. So he's not there to learn school. And there's a chance maybe that was kind of a, I don't know, factor in how well he did in class. But I'm sure he's still a very bright person. Kirk Davis, do you see Shedeur Sanders falling as low as 20th and somehow Cleveland getting him then? Right now, it seems like the Saints have become the favorite for Shedeur because if he gets past the Giants at 3, which this is where things can get complicated. If the Browns go Travis at 2, are the Giants going to take Abdul Carter? They've got a lot of already really good defensive ends and linemen and things like that. They've got Kayvon Thibodeau. They've got Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. The Giants may feel comfortable with going a different position altogether than Abdul Carter. And so if they don't want to go Abdul Carter, maybe they do go Shedeur. But if they just don't think Shedeur is that great, then it could be a fall for Sanders. If no one trades up, like Patriots, Jags, I don't think the Raiders are as in on him as other people think they are. Same goes for the Jets. And the Saints are the question mark because they've got this weird relationship with Derek Carr where at times he looks good, but a lot of fan base is already over him. So I think there's a greater possibility, and this is what I've been saying for a while, that Shedeur goes closer to 32 than pick number 1. Now, as for Cleveland trading up to get him, I think that 33rd overall pick is going to be used on a quarterback. Whether that means a trade up, staying put, or trading back, TBD. But I believe that pick is devoted towards getting a quarterback. 20 is the Broncos. From 33 to 20, it would require a second, obviously, a third, and probably a little bit more. And I don't know if the Browns want to give up that much draft capital after finally getting back into round 1 if it costs them a future first-round draft pick. I would keep an eye on the Vikings at 24. Christopher Stofira. Carter has good speed. What about transition to linebacker if strength might be a concern? So strength has come up as a knock for Abdul Carter. He's 21. Like, think about yourself when you were 21. He's got the same human body of everyone else. Well, maybe not the same, but he's a human like anyone else, which means he's going to get stronger as he gets a little bit older. Let's give it some time here. This is where I think the NFL, it doesn't have a minor league system like baseball, so it's tough for these rookies to work those kinks out like players in the majors do in the minors, because the minors is an opportunity for the young guys to get stronger, get faster, and develop. In the NFL, you just toss right in. I don't have strength concerns for Carter. If he's 25 and he's still, getting pushed around a little bit, then talk to me then. But at the end of the day, it's a 21-year-old. Chris, I'm willing to give him a little bit more leeway. Soul Train. Just hope it's a great draft regardless. Go Browns. Yeah. Well, Soul Train, my question to you is, what would constitute a great draft for the Browns? Let me know. For me, I'd probably say I'd be, over the moon excited if it's Abdul Carter or even Travis Hunter at number 2, and then Caleb Johnson or Omarion Hampton at pick 33. Before we sign off, I do want to remind everyone to subscribe to the channel. We're going to have free draft analysis all round 1, 2, and possibly 3 in terms of live coverage. So make sure you are a part of the channel by clicking that sub button. And now let's pick a card to wrap up today's episode. Reed, which card do you want to go with?
Oh, sorry. Something in my throat.
Yeah.
Can I go Jack of Clubs?
Jack of Clubs. I'm going to go with Queen of Clubs. No. 2 of Diamonds. See everyone later. I see we have some super chats to catch up on. We're also $3 away from $100 in super chats. So I just want to thank everyone for supporting the channel today. Oh, he's been blowing up my email lately. I forgot to tell you. Oh, jump to his next. This host is so dumb. You know what's crazy is not people that watch me, but people that pay to watch me, which is what you're doing right now. Jump to his last super chat so we can kind of just roll it all into one here. I know, but just trust me. This is what I was saying a moment ago. 1 second. Or maybe go to, there it is. Yeah, he emails me these like video links like it's 2005. No, you've lost all trust for me to click on any link you send me. And the links look weird, by the way. I don't know how to describe it, but no, I'm not watching a Mr. Hands. Also, Mr. Hands is not a drawing video title for me to go like, yeah, this is something I want to spend my time with. So I have not he's him. Dolphin X, positive thought, Browns, last QB drafted. Was bad? Want bad? Clear this up for me, Dolphin X. The last quarterback the Browns drafted was Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and I don't think he was very good. Wasn't bad. Dolphin got it to $100, so thank you, Dolphin X. I mean, DTR was bad. Was he not bad? DTR was bad. If DTR was not bad, he'd be on the roster right now. Browns are looking for a quarterback, and they traded him away. So, if he was any good, they would have kept him. Browns, are you saying DTR was not bad, Dolphin X? But I disagree. DTR was bad.
Unless he's talking about like first round pick, like Baker's not terrible.
Yeah,
I could agree with that.
I would agree that Baker. Now Baker was still at best the third quarterback in that class. Looking back, Josh Allen and/or Lamar Jackson at 1 and 2, and then Baker at 3. Do we agree? So picking number 1, and you might not get the number 1 guy, but at least get the number 2 guy.
Yes, Soul Train said he probably meant first round. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's how I'm going to take it because DTR he just got traded off the team.
Let me ask you this question. If Shedeur Sanders, not from a play style, but from like a production standpoint, was Baker with the Browns, not Bucks Baker, but Browns Baker, would you make that pick? If I told you, hey, Shedeur Sanders is going to have the same yards and touchdowns and interceptions like Baker did with Cleveland every single season, are you making that pick at number 2? I honestly respect your confidence in answering that question because right now the Browns don't have a lot of options, and that's not looking like a bad one. But I agree for number 2, you'd probably want a little bit better.
It's only because
Max says yes.
Especially because they haven't been in the first round in a little bit.
Yeah.
They need to hit. Mm-hmm. And I think Andrew Berry knows he needs to hit.
Yeah, I agree. To be fair, if I knew that Shedeur would be Baker all over again, and forget like the divorce, just the on the field, would I use the number 2 pick on that?
Would he have the same?
I'd say
just same stats and production, or
same stats?
Because Baker brought energy.
No, I'm not gonna say
that's what I'm thinking.
Same stats.
Same stats.
Same stats.
I don't think they were that polarizing.
I'm not saying that Baker was bad.
I would say if you're gonna do that,
maybe
I would take another swing at Joe Flacco before you do that.
Yeah. It's just tough knowing, hey, with the number 2 pick, I'm signing up for at that draft the number 3 quarterback. He's him. I'm looking for a career change. Well, first I got to know what career line you're in, so that way I can have a rough idea as to what not to. Yeah, outside of trolling. I think you could make a really good therapist. He's just very fun and easy to talk to, and he's very kind to people with his words. So that seems like a good fit for he's him.
I'm gonna say maybe a nurse. He's very nurturing.
Yeah, you're right. That's a very good comp as well. Dolphin X with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Dolphin X. What does Dolphin X, who's been the MVP of today's live show, have to say? Yes, because Baker also changed the culture. If Sanders puts up similar numbers with his personality, it would be a huge sigh of relief. Yes, in a heartbeat. It definitely would be a big sigh of relief, and you'd feel like you got some stability going. And that's good and all. Don't get me wrong. But right now, I'd feel that way. Would you look back in 4 or 5 years and go, that was the right pick still? Or is it because at the moment we're so desperate for a quarterback, we take anything that looked average even at its worst?
This isn't so. Drafting Myles Garrett, that was a grand slam.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a little Colin Cowherd real quick.
Uh-huh.
That was a grand slam. Abdul Carter at 2, that's a home run.
Okay.
Shador at 2 is a bunt that you beat out, and you're on base.
I'll upgrade that to that's a single that could be stretched into a double.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if the fielder misplays it, you could get a double out of it.
Okay.
But at number 2, you'd like it a little bit better than that. You
at
want a
number
home run.
2, you want a home run.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Something that I bring going back to Dolphin X. I'm not gonna point you out, but I just think it's so funny as fans. He's talking about, oh yeah, DTR, not that bad. He's good company.
Yeah.
Because he said that. Flashback to when he started his game last season. Everyone saying, he's terrible, get him off the field, he's hot garbage.
Yeah,
and then now, since we've had some time to think, it's like, oh no, he's okay.
Right.
I just
all
think
right.
it's funny.
That is going to do it for us on our live show today. As always, thanks to everyone who tunes in. Big special shout out to everyone who super chats, like Dolphin X, even he's him. We had super chats from Joshua Miller, Christopher Stofire, thank you so much. Loverboy Charlie. I think I got everyone there. Did I miss anyone? Soul Train and Iron Eagle. So, big special shout out to you guys. Let's pick a card to wrap up the live show. Which card do you want to go with, Reed?
You just want to get it again.
Yeah, of course I do.
Let's go.
I like it. Mail it in for Manning. Did you come up with that on your own, or did you see that elsewhere? I'm definitely going to steal that.
Mail it in.
Yeah. Like
in terms of
like your effort. We're going to mail it in this season for
okay.
Manning.
All right, I like that.
I love it. I
thought it was like mailing in the ballot or the draft pick. I was like, I don't know.
We're going to mail it in.
No, I like it.
Which card?
4 of hearts. No. 5 of diamonds.
I'm doing 4 of hearts. 5 of clubs.
No!
5 of clubs. All right. Enjoy your Wednesday, and I'll see everyone later.